From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
Good morning, and thanks for starting your day with us. Today is Saturday, June 21st. I'm Max Darrow. Here's a look at what we've got at the top of the rundown today. Windy conditions and dry brush upping the fire danger across the region today. This morning, crews have contained a pair of brush fires that broke out, one in Cotati in the North Bay and then in the south in San Jose. No buildings were damaged. But because of the fire risk, PG&E has cut off power to some parts of Alameda and Contra Costa counties. The affected areas are shown in purple. This is a live look at a map from the utility company. This shows the shutoffs in the Bay Area, and they are expected to continue for at least the rest of today. This morning, there are now fewer public transit routes in the city. The SFMTA is cutting Muni service along 5 bus lines to help address its $50 million budget shortfall. Muni is shortening the 5 Fulton, 9 San Bruno, and 31 Balboa. All of those lines will now turn around when they reach Market Street. The 21 Hayes and 6 Haight Parnassus lines will combine to form a single line. The transit agency expects to save $7 million with these changes. In the South Bay, Metallica will rock a packed Levi stadium for a second time this weekend on Sunday. This will be the first time the heavy metal band has performed in the Bay Area since 2022. The band is known for having one of the largest production tours in the world. 350 crew members worked at Levi's for 8 days ahead of last night's initial performance. First Alert meteorologist Zoe Mintz joins us now live on this Saturday morning. And Zoe, so windy the past couple of days. Is that going to stay?
It's going to be slightly less windy
slightly
today.
Less. That's
slightly
good. That's good.
less, but don't expect it to be completely calm out there.
Okay.
There's still that storm system. The reason that it's been so windy, that's slowly tracking across the Pacific Northwest. And it's that storm system that's brought us those windy conditions the past several days. There is going to be bit quieter conditions today, but still, I don't want you all to get too excited. After a beautiful sunrise, though, oh my goodness, it is lovely out there. But you can see the wind on the water creating a bit of a ripple. And again, kind of just a sign of what's to come this afternoon. We are currently looking at gusts upwards of 20 to 25 miles an hour from Santa Rosa down to Half Moon Bay. And again, everybody is going to be seeing gusts upwards of 25 miles an hour this afternoon. So keep that in mind. It is going to be breezy, maybe slightly less windy than yesterday, and those winds are going to continue to trend calmer into tomorrow as well. So that is good news. Barely any fog out there early this morning, and the clouds that we are going to continue to see this afternoon, basically nothing, as high pressure is going to continue to build overhead. It's really interesting. If we pull up just the entirety of California, we can show you the fact that high pressure is going to continue to dominate the entire state, keeping all of the moisture well off to our north. And the reason that we actually have red flag warnings in effect for the entirety of California's Central Valley. I'll let you know how long these fire danger conditions will stick around coming up in my full forecast. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Zoe. To the East Bay now, drivers speeding in Oakland will soon get a ticket in the mail. Officials just signed off on a plan to install 18 automated speed cameras all around the city. Going to be going up in locations with the most documented issues of speeding. Many of them are close to schools, senior centers, and commercial districts. Researchers found Hegenberger Road near Spencer Street is the biggest problem spot. They report 43% of daily vehicles drive at least 10 miles per hour over the posted speed limit. Neighbors tell us they think these cameras are going to help out.
We got used to see this kind of speeding around here, and there's no one doing anything much about it. It's going to be less accidents.
Oakland is one of 5 cities in California that's allowed to put automated speed cameras up. This is thanks to a recently passed state law. They're already up in San Francisco. The Oakland cameras are expected to be up and running by this fall after a 60-day grace period. Anybody going 11 miles more over the posted speed limit will get a ticket, and those fines start at $50. In East Oakland, tensions are rising once again over homeless encampment sweeps, and critics are saying city leaders are breaking promises to protect unhoused residents. One local teacher has spent months helping unhoused people along East 12th Street. He surveyed dozens living at the site. Many say they have not been offered housing or services before they were forced to move. That does go against Mayor Barbara Lee's stated policy for the city. Just days ago, city crews showed up for another round of sweeps, catching many people who lived there off guard. Listen.
Policy explicitly says they're not they're not going to do sweeps before they've connected people with housing, mental health service, and addiction services. And these people haven't been connected to housing.
The city says it is working with Alameda County to increase shelter space, but for now, advocates say people are being displaced faster than they're being helped. San Francisco's district attorney has charged a second man in an alleged anti-Semitic attack. It happened early last Saturday at Fillmore and Greenwich Streets in the Marina District. According to the district attorney, the victim and a friend were sitting on a curb when a group of 6 people started shouting anti-Semitic remarks. The two tried to walk away, but the group followed. The DA says the victim was attacked, hit his head, and lost consciousness. The group punched him and kicked him when he was on the ground. A 36-year-old man was charged Tuesday with 2 counts of assault and hate crimes. And then on Friday, a second suspect, 22-year-old Alejandro Flores Llamas, pleaded not guilty to those same charges. A number of San Francisco officials joined local community leaders on the steps of City Hall to stand against hate. State Senator Scott Wiener says the rise in anti-Semitism is forcing Jews to have to hide their identities.
Just yesterday, a neighbor of mine in the Castro, a Jewish mother who has a very obviously Jewish last name, told me that she changed her last name to a fake last name on Uber because she was regularly being confronted by drivers recognizing her as a Jew about what was happening in Israel and Gaza.
Mayor Daniel Lurie also spoke out against recent attacks on San Francisco's Jewish community at that event. The Supreme Court just dealt another setback to California's strict vehicle emissions rules, reopening legal battles with oil and gas companies that are challenging the state's clean car standards. In a 7-2 decision, the court ruled that the companies do have the right to sue, overturning earlier decisions that blocked the case. The ruling says businesses can't be kept out of court just because electric vehicle sales are increasing. California maintains this won't affect its clean car goals, but some warn it could weaken future environmental protections. In the South Bay, California's Great America could be seeing its final countdown. Park officials now eyeing a potential closing date after the 2027 season. Santa Clara Theme Park is owned by Six Flags, and officials say they may have to shut it down after Halloween in 2027. That's unless the company extends its lease. The land's owner, logistics giant Prologis, bought the property back in 2022 for $310 million. Great America's former owner, Cedar Fair, initially signed a 6 to 11-year lease, but always planned to shut it down by the end. So far, the tech company has not asked Six Flags to leave early, but they are looking for partners to redevelop the site. Alrighty, 6:08 this morning. Let's take a look at what's happening around the Bay this weekend. Juneteenth celebrations are in full swing with parades, festivals, and live music honoring freedom and community. Marin City starts the day with a community prayer breakfast at 9:30 in the morning. Then at 10 in the morning, Richmond kicks off its Juneteenth parade and festival. Livermore also gets going with the Tri-Valley celebration. In Oakland, the 18th annual Juneteenth Street Fest begins at 11, and Hayward wraps up the day with its Freedom Fest at Heritage Plaza starting at 2 o'clock. In San Francisco today, the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus takes over the Curran Theater with its annual Pride concert. Showtimes are at 1 o'clock and 7:30. Grammy-nominated songwriter and singer Justin Tranter joins the stage for a lively celebration of pride and queer joy. In Santa Cruz, the 29th annual Woody's on the Wharf kicks off at 10 this morning with live surf music, surfboard shaping demos, and hula performances. The Woody Parade rolls out at 3:30 at the Santa Cruz Wharf. And in the East Bay, the Oakland Ballers kick off a pregame block party at 2 p.m. at Raimondi Park. Hip-hop stars Warren G and Lyrics Born performing. The Lincoln Square Lions dance team will as well. First pitch is at 4:35 in the afternoon, followed by a home run derby and the unveiling of a new Rickey Henderson Memorial. The small business owner who tells us why he decided to move his shop to a notorious San Francisco neighborhood.
To shed light on the positive activities and throw fuel on that fire rather than this negative dialogue about the Tenderloin.
How he says the neighborhood has changed.
And the sky is definitely changing early this morning from that dark, deep black color to fiery reds and oranges and a couple of shades of maybe some pink from our view on top of here in Mount Diablo. But open up your window. It's a beautiful sunrise all across the bay with little to no fog, and I'll let you know how long these windy conditions will stick around. Oh, look at that sunrise. Get ready for your Saturday, and I'll help you plan for it coming up.
Welcome back at sunrise here in the Bay Area. The time now, 6:13, a beautiful live look at the San Francisco skyline. Today is the final day of I Love Tenderloin Week. It's been a week full of community-focused events with an aim of highlighting the neighborhood's culture, resilience, and community partnerships. It's no fair share of challenges, but organizers of this event say the neighborhood's really misunderstood. Mayor Daniel Lurie has made addressing the challenges of the neighborhood a major priority of his administration. I went there to get a sense of life in the neighborhood right now. When it was time for Justin Marks to open his skate shop low-key, he says the Tenderloin was a natural fit.
Because I wanted the skate shop to revolve around the Tenderloin's art scene.
And over the past 5.5 years, he's immersed himself in it, a neighborhood that has seen some of its toughest times.
The hard times don't compare to the heightened good times I have here in the Tenderloin.
As images of homelessness and open-air drug use became synonymous with the Tenderloin in recent years, Mark says what was lost was the light shining upon the good in the neighborhood, which did and does still exist.
That's a huge reason why I have my business here, is to shed light on the positive activities and throw fuel on that fire rather than this negative dialogue about the Tenderloin.
In terms of the visible issues, he says over the last year, the streets are literally cleaner. He thinks 311 is more responsive now.
Within a handful of hours, they're there cleaning it, and that's been really helpful for my business.
That's a big step forward and long overdue, says Chris, who's lived in the Tenderloin for a long time.
Tenderloin's been cleaned up. 2023 and 2022 was bad.
It's a visible change that's easy to track. Systemically, however,
We need more help. We need more assistance of the homeless people out here. Just get a housing, get a shelter.
Mayor Daniel Lurie says systemic changes are in progress.
We're doing more on the neighborhood outreach teams to make sure that we get people off the street and into the help that they need. 822 Gary has helped us get people stabilized.
The mayor is referring to the 822 Geary Behavioral Health Stabilization Center. It opened in April. It's designed to give immediate treatment for those experiencing a mental health crisis so they can be connected to services and shelter.
We still have a lot of work to do. I am clear-eyed about the challenges. We are going to work in partnership with community leaders.
Marks thinks solutions for the unhoused must go beyond providing shelter.
We can't just give them housing and then walk away, and I think that's what's happened time after time.
However, he doesn't expect systemic changes to happen overnight.
It's going to take some years to see the success of these projects.
But what he has seen is intrigue by first-time visitors or by those coming back to the neighborhood for the first time in years.
It's interesting, when people come to the Tenderloin Art Walk, they're pleasantly surprised.
He thinks more exposure to events like that will work in tandem with the visible and systemic changes underway.
I think the Tenderloin is very misunderstood.
They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and Marks is on a mission to share the beauty he sees in the Tenderloin with those around it, one day at a time. So in terms of public safety changes in the neighborhood, to date, SFPD crime data shows reported crime is down about 25% year over year. Pretty big change there.
There are so many fun, cool shops to go to in the Tenderloin.
There are, and some hidden gem restaurants too.
Oh,
have
yes.
to throw that out
Some
there.
great food. I know I need to head out there myself. And I also have to say, it is so nice to see how much better it has gotten in San Francisco. I mean, I haven't lived here for more than just about a year, but my mom came to visit, and she's been coming to San Francisco just as a regular visitor for probably like 20, 30 years now. And she was so blown away at how clean it was last time she came to visit.
It's good to see progress, isn't it?
Exactly. We love it.
Let's talk about progress in the weather department now, because not as much wind, but still something to contend with.
Yeah, a little bit of wind out there. Not as windy as yesterday, but those winds have been no fun out there. It has definitely ruined a couple of days, I'm sure, blowing around a lot of things that you might have left unsecured. But this morning, the sunrise is absolutely gorgeous out there. Watching that sun make its way above the horizon. It is clear, it is quiet, it is beautiful. Although those quiet conditions are not going to last much longer than early this morning. Again, those winds are going to be picking up as there is a storm system passing well off to our north. That storm system is the reason that we have been dealing with windy conditions, but it's also the reason that it's been so dry out there. Barely any fog to contend with this morning anywhere in the Bay Area. It's keeping our temperatures chilly, especially if you do live in places that are higher in elevation, but either way, upper 40s to low 50s across most of the Bay Area, within a degree or two of average, but a degree or two below seasonable for those of you who do live down into the Santa Clara Valley. But by the afternoon, we'll be within about 5 degrees of average for most of the Bay Area. Our coastal communities are going to feel a lot more comfortable heat. In fact, mid to lower 60s along the coast, mid to upper 60s to near 70 degrees here in San Francisco this afternoon. So it's going to be really, really nice out there for the coast. But farther inland, this is where our temperatures are going to be a couple of degrees below average. No longer seeing those mid to upper 80s. We'll be sitting in the mid to upper 70s to maybe low 80s. I promise you, Antioch is not going to be 56 this afternoon. That's just some weird glitch that the system has. It has the overnight lows instead of the daytime highs, just for that one, though. But either way, it is going to be a very nice one out there. If you don't mind a little bit of a breeze, and there is going to be a bit of fire weather concerns if you plan on heading down to the Central Valley or Solano County. This is where the driest conditions, the most fuel for that fire, and where we are going to be seeing those windier conditions as well. So all of this area in pink, red flag warnings are in effect. Something just wanted to point out, although most of us are not being impacted by that because we're seeing onshore winds, which actually usher in a little bit more moisture. Again, keeping those coastal communities a degree or two above average, while the inland areas a degree or two below average. But either way, it's still going to be really nice out there this afternoon with those winds, especially on the coast, going to be a bit breezy. 35 to 45 miles an hour this afternoon. Again, maybe 5 miles an hour less than yesterday, but still it's going to be windy to breezy. 25 to 35 across our more inland communities. But by tomorrow afternoon, this is when everyone will be able to take a breath of relief. 15 to 20 mile an hour gusts inland, 25 to maybe 35 mile an hour gust along our North Bay communities. But again, it's not going to be those 45 plus mile an hour gusts that we've been seeing with that storm system that's passing well off to our north. It is just scraping by, ushering in those windy conditions, those drier conditions. But again, it will slowly depart, and look at by tomorrow, those winds definitely calming down, which is really great news again for any outdoor activities. You're not going to get whipped in the face by the winds nearly as much tomorrow as what we're expecting today. That's going to allow those temperatures to warm up a degree or two tomorrow and continue to warm up into Monday. A little bit cooler Tuesday, a little bit warmer Wednesday, and into Thursday. It's kind of going to be that typical weather pattern that we'll be seeing. Overall nice conditions sticking around over at least the next 7 days. Back to you.
6:26 on this Saturday morning. Coming up, more missile strikes overnight between Israel and Iran, what the Iranian foreign minister says about the prospects for a diplomatic solution to the conflict. And a recent Columbia University graduate accused of anti-Semitism released from federal detention after more than 3 months. I'll tell you what he said moments after walking free. Zoe.
Well, it is a really nice start to this Saturday morning. Open up your windows. The sunrise is gorgeous. We're not dealing with any of that fog. In fact, not a single bit of it streaming through the Golden Gate. That means clear travel conditions and a lovely afternoon. But will the winds finally calm down? I'll let you know coming up.
From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
Welcome back. It is 6:31 on this Saturday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Max Darrow. This is meteorologist Zoe Mintz, if you didn't know, which you should know by now. But
hopefully. I've been here officially a full year.
I know. It feels like we've been doing this together for so long.
I know.
It's just wonderful to start our days together.
I'm so happy to be here. And today is actually the first full day of summer.
And what do you know?
It's going to be a nice one out there.
The news you can use on a Saturday morning.
First
with
full
Zoe.
day of summer. Yesterday, the official start to summer was 7:41, and the days are only going to get shorter and shorter from here. I'm sorry, I'm the bearer of bad news, but yesterday was the longest day of the year, so I hope you enjoyed a lot of sunshine. But if you didn't, don't worry. These are still the longest days of the year, and there is still going to be plenty of sunshine out there throughout this afternoon right now. You can see plenty of it, not a single lick of fog streaming through the Golden Gate, and that's keeping our temperatures pretty cool this morning. We're in the upper 40s to low 50s across most of the Bay Area. That's a degree or two below average, but either way, it's kind of what we expect this time of year. Some mornings chillier than others, but either way, we're definitely not dealing with nearly as much fog or as much cloud coverage along the California coast as we normally do this time of year. That's because an area of high pressure continues to dominate basically the entirety of the western half of the United States, and that's actually allowing for, unfortunately, fire danger to return to the forecast across the entirety of California's Central Valley. And that does include for us here in the Bay Area, Solano County. That's going to be where our biggest impact is. We are going to continue to see, again, the impacts of that red flag warning in effect across the inlandmost locations. And I'll let you know how long these fire danger conditions will stick around, along with those very gusty winds. All things coming up in my full forecast. Back to you.
We'll look forward to it. Thank you, Zoe. Iranian missiles were intercepted over Jerusalem earlier today. Now, more than a week into a war, Israel and Iran have exchanged even more strikes. At the same time, European foreign ministers are involved in diplomatic efforts with Iran. CBS's Christian Benavides is tracking the latest developments.
As both Israel and Iran continue to exchange missile strikes, overnight missiles were intercepted over Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. Diplomatic efforts are ongoing in Geneva, led by European leaders. They're trying a last shot at convincing Iran to limit its nuclear program.
Iran is ready to consider diplomacy once again.
What's unclear is if that means embracing President Trump's offer for direct talks. Iran called those off after U.S. ally Israel started bombing. On Friday, the president expressed concerns about Iran's potential nuclear capabilities.
And I think within a matter of weeks, or certainly within a matter of months, they're going to be able to have a nuclear weapon. We can't let that happen.
Part of the proposal by European leaders that was presented to Iran includes the return of UN inspectors, that the U.S. have a role in overseeing Iran's ballistic missile program, and to cut funding to proxies in the region, such as Hezbollah and the Houthis. Any deal could only be signed off on by Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, last seen on TV Wednesday. Diplomatic sources tell CBS News he's in hiding, dodging Israeli assassination threats, which makes it hard for his own government officials to get in touch.
It is hugely important that we don't see regional escalation of this conflict.
Protesters in Iran chanted "No surrender, no compromise, fight with America." We are 12 days away from the 2-week deadline President Trump gave to decide whether the U.S. will attack Iran.
A federal judge ordered the release of Mahmoud Khalil, the Columbia protester detained for more than 3 months in an immigration facility in Louisiana. Khalil walked free Friday after 104 days in custody. A judge ruled he did pose no flight risk or danger to the community and slammed the government's case as weak. Immigration agents arrested Khalil in March for his role in campus protests over the war in Gaza. He now heads back to New York to reunite with his wife and newborn son. Khalil spoke moments after his release. Listen.
Although justice prevailed, but it's long, very long overdue, and this shouldn't have taken 3 months.
The first thing you'll do when you get home tonight?
Just hug my wife and son. As simple as that. It's not get back. I did not actually spend time with my son. The only time I spent my son was in a specified 1 hour limit that the government had imposed on us. So that means that now I can actually hug him and Noor, my wife.
The Trump administration is appealing the judge's decision. Khalil still faces a possible deportation hearing tied to his immigration paperwork. The legal battle over National Guard troops in California took another turn on Friday, with the case back in a San Francisco courtroom. A judge revisited his earlier ruling that blocked the deployment of Guard troops in Los Angeles just 1 day after a federal appeals court cleared the way for it to move forward. The judge now faces pressure to strike a legal middle ground as the debate grows louder over federal power versus states' rights. Here's what one legal expert said about where this could go next.
Judge Breyer may have to make a ruling on how far can the national troops go, how far into civilian life can they go, how long can they stay there? Can they stay there even when there seems to be no pressing need for them? California will push that position. This is what district court judges have to do, frankly, every day, is try to find the reasonable middle ground between the extreme parties' positions on both sides.
The case could land in the U.S. Supreme Court, with the governor promising to keep fighting and the White House pushing to expand the Guard's role. In Southern California, tensions continue to boil over in two Los Angeles County cities as protesters and federal agents clashed on Friday during immigration raids. In the city of Bell, about 100 protesters gathered after an immigration operation. Some of them threw rocks and bottles at unmarked vehicles driving through. Just miles away in Maywood, federal agents tossed smoke canisters to break up a crowd of protesters. Both protests flared amid ongoing immigration raids across the Los Angeles area. Vice President J.D. Vance made waves in Los Angeles on Friday, but it wasn't for his tour of an ICE facility or for blasting leaders over immigration protests, but it was for what he called one of California's U.S. senators. While defending federal immigration raids, Vance referred to Senator Alex Padilla as Jose Padilla, a name tied to a convicted al-Qaeda terrorist just 1 week after Padilla was tackled and cuffed at a news conference. Vance claimed Padilla skipped his Los Angeles appearance because, quote, there wasn't a theater. The line drew back instant backlash, not just from Padilla's office, but from city leaders and more.
Well, I was hoping Jose Padilla would be here to ask a question, but unfortunately, I guess he decided not to show up because there wasn't the theater. And that's all it is. You know, I think everybody realizes that's what this is. It's pure political theater.
Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass didn't hold back, calling Vance's comments not just disrespectful, but deliberate.
How dare you disrespect our senator? You don't know his name, but yet you served with him before you were vice president, and you continue to serve with him today, because the last time I checked, the Vice President of the United States is the President of the U.S. Senate. You serve with him today, and how dare you disrespect him and call him Jose? But I guess he just looked like anybody to you.
California Governor Gavin Newsom also slammed Vance, saying the Jose Padilla line was no accident. Critics say Vance knew exactly what he was doing. Vance's spokesperson did respond to this outrage, saying, quote, he must have mixed up two people who have broken the law. Coming up after the break, helping people move forward after tragedy strikes. We'll talk live with a journalist who lost her father in a mass shooting, who's now trying to help others through her podcast. Finding purpose through pain. That's a daily endeavor for Erica Mahoney. She's a journalist who lives in Colorado, whose world changed instantaneously after her father was killed in a mass shooting at a supermarket in Boulder back in 2021. Now she is hoping to help others affected by these all too common tragedies cope with grief and trauma and heal collectively with a podcast she's just launched called Senseless. Erica joins us live this morning. Erica, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you sharing your story.
Oh, thank you so much, Max. I'm really excited to talk about this.
So first and foremost, you've got your dad with you right now over your shoulder.
I do. This is a picture of my dad and me when I was a little girl, and I always keep it beside me on my desk as a reminder why I'm doing this podcast.
So, Erica, this is a situation that so many families, so many people across the country have unfortunately had to live through. And you as a journalist have had to cover these, and now you're living through it years and years later. What is your hope through this podcast?
My hope is to open people's eyes to the pain that these American tragedies create and talk about how we move forward after the unthinkable. So in my case, losing my dad in a mass shooting absolutely destroyed me. I was floored for a long time. And eventually decided to turn my pain into purpose. And now I really hope that this will help other people.
One of the things you're doing with this podcast is you are, one, opening up and sharing your own experience, but two, you're guiding people through this experience with interviews with some of the other families, with some of the prosecutors, with others involved with this entire massive landscape of this story. How do you hope that maybe resonates with viewers and listeners, excuse me?
Yeah. Like, these events have such a massive ripple effect. And in the show, my editor came up with this phrase, web of pain. Mass shootings leave a massive web of pain. And so by sitting down with so many people affected by the tragedy in Boulder, not only did I learn about how this affected somebody who maybe didn't lose a family member, but maybe they were in the grocery store and survived, the police officers who responded, the doctors at the local hospital. I mean, it was humbling. These just have such an outsized community impact. And I think it's really time that we recognize the true damage that these cause.
When we are talking about takeaways, you're talking about the true damage this caused in the web and the ripple effect this has. For somebody who hasn't experienced this, what would you want that person to know?
I love that question. And first, I will say that even if you aren't directly affected by a mass shooting, that this podcast will resonate with you because it really delves into trauma, grief, and moving forward. And that's something that touches all of us. Nobody goes through life unscathed. Right now, the world is a scary place. And so I know that that will resonate. For people who haven't been affected by a mass shooting, my first thought is that by now, if you aren't directly affected by this, you probably know someone who is. So I would like people to learn how to show up for someone who's hurting, how to talk about death and grief more in our society, to be vulnerable and open, and ultimately know that we are all connected as human beings, and showing up for each other and talking about these hard things out loud truly matters.
Talking about hard things out loud, and I love that, showing up for each other every single day. Erica Mahoney, thank you for joining us this morning. And if you want to follow along with Erica's journey, you can listen to new episodes of Senseless with Erica Mahoney. They drop every Tuesday, wherever you get your podcast. Looking forward to listening more. Erica, again, it's wonderful to see you.
Thank you so much, Max.
All righty, coming up after the break, he's a man of faith and service. When we return, we'll meet this week's Icon Award winner and see how he is helping the homeless in their hour of greatest need. San Mateo County's unhoused population has grown 18% in just the last 3 years. That's according to the latest count. But the number could be even higher, except for the efforts of a Peninsula man on the front lines who's helping lift people out of homelessness, and he's been doing so for almost 30 years. Sharon Chin introduces us to this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award winner.
To be fairly popular.
Peter Steeler rises before dawn on weekdays, cooking and serving a hearty breakfast so dozens of people experiencing homelessness in San Mateo County can start their day right.
I find that when you're of service to people, your life is richer. Do you want the tofu and rice?
Peter and his volunteers also give away toiletries.
Yeah.
And provide showers at St. Bruno's Catholic Church in San Bruno.
V, you go in, and then I think you're next. Jorge.
It's the ministry of the Catholic Worker Hospitality House, the nonprofit Peter and his wife Kate Chatfield started 29 years ago.
I just need to organize that space.
It provides temporary shelter and evening meals for 6 people at the church, plus permanent, affordable housing for a dozen others at 2 boarding houses in San Bruno and South San Francisco. Peter lifts people up in their time of greatest need.
How I got into this work in the first place was that I wanted to figure out a way to live out my faith.
Give me the next one out here.
Janice Dahl says Peter helped her and her husband get back on their feet. They stayed at the shelter and now rent a room at the Catholic worker boarding house, and she works at the shelter, paying forward Peter's kindness.
He is my hero. Basically, he got me off the streets. He's like my angel that I didn't think I had.
Melinda Lent is also grateful that Peter offered her a place to live at the hospitality house after she'd lived for months in her car.
He's like a lifesaver. I mean, I was out there in the car, you know, in the street, and he said, expedited my, oh, come on in, I got some space, and let me stay here, and now I'm housed.
Whether he's clearing the room or cleaning the dishes, Peter is often on the move, leading by example. The Catholic Worker Hospitality House relies on volunteers and private donations and does not accept government support. But he does find support and fulfillment building community, helping people go from despair to hope in starting over.
I get to see that change, and I get to be part of it. It feels wonderful.
So for 29 years of serving the unhoused through Catholic Worker Hospitality House, this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award goes to Peter Steeler.
We got a beautiful sunrise to talk about this morning, don't we, Zoe?
Oh, yes. Gorgeous out there and a little bit less windy today.
Good news to me.
Yeah, so I'm sure many people had his music to your ears, but it's not going to be calm by any means. Just maybe not those 45-mile-an-hour wind gusts, maybe down to 35. But still, that does mean you are going to want to keep that in mind, but don't cancel any outdoor plans with a beautiful sunrise out there. That sun is going to continue to rise higher in the sky with basically not a cloud out there, just a little bit of haze blanketing the Santa Clara Valley. Those temperatures right now, mid to lower 50s. It's seasonable, maybe a degree or two below average, but overall it's what we expect for this time of year, and really going to be those similar conditions waking up tomorrow as well. Those very quiet conditions, though, when it comes to the winds, finally will arrive tomorrow. So today, yes, it is going to be a little bit warmer compared to yesterday, especially along our coastal communities. Going to be in the mid to lower 60s along the coast. And here in San Francisco, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a few 70s sprinkled in there, mid 70s in Oakland, and then mid 80s farther inland. We're no longer in the upper 80s to low 90s, but there is still fire danger farther inland, unfortunately, because there is going to be the potential with the very dry air in place, the windier conditions, and the dry brush, especially all across the Central Valley in California, but it does include Solano County. So keep that in mind. Red flag warning just means that there is a higher fire danger, in fact, throughout this afternoon and into very early tomorrow morning. But other than that, it's going to be a really, really nice afternoon to get out there, other than especially along the coast, those slightly windier conditions. But overall, again, within about 5 degrees of seasonable, a couple of degrees above average along the coast, in the upper 60s, like I said, here in San Francisco, to a couple of degrees below average farther inland. San Jose, Concord should be a couple of degrees warmer, but hey, it's still going to be a lovely day. Honestly, those of you who do live inland, it's probably going to be really nice to get a bit of a break from that excessive heat. It'll be a bit more comfortable this afternoon with, again, those coastal communities seeing gusts anywhere from 35 to 45 miles an hour. Inland areas anywhere from 25 to 35. By tomorrow, though, this is when everybody is going to be seeing the more typical June winds, 25-mile-an-hour wind gust along the coast, maybe up to 35 along our North Bay, with 15 to 25 across our inland areas. So again, this is more typical for this time of year, no longer seeing those excessive winds by as soon as tomorrow, as that low pressure system that's been bringing us the winds for the past several days will finally begin to weaken. It will begin to depart, and that does mean that much quieter weather is on the way to end off the weekend and to start off next week, allowing our temperatures to warm up a degree or two, mid to upper 80s across our inland communities. And even our coastal communities are going to be seeing plenty of sunshine, mid 60s sticking around through Monday of next week before a little bit more cloud coverage and slightly cooler weather arrives by Tuesday. But honestly, really, really nice weather going to stick around after those winds calm down today. Back to you.
Finally this morning, a story that is a bit out of the ordinary, to say the least. Colorful parrot from Massachusetts is now up for adoption, but there is a catch.
Yes, the bird has some pretty wild vocabulary, and it's got everyone talking.
Squawking.
Look at you. I hate that. It's fantastic, though. Okay, Hendrix, though, that is the squawking, talking parrot. It is up for adoption at Forever Paws Shelter in Fall River. He's about 30 years old, missing some feathers from a rough past, and he swears a lot. The shelter even compares him to Samuel L. Jackson. That's always a good time. Now, despite the colorful language, Hendrix has drawn more than 50 adoption applications. Oh, good for him. Some from as far away as Canada. He's a one-of-a-kind bird who just needs to find the right forever home.
We didn't want somebody to bring him home, and then all of a sudden he starts throwing slurs around, and you had no idea you were getting into this.
So it's not just Hendrix. There are 5 parrots in England who all share a similar trait, with colorful feathers and colorful language. But in that case, at Lincolnshire Wildlife Park, staff and visitors say they don't mind, so they're just letting the birds be themselves. Gotta love that. Let the birds be themselves. I don't know if you could even say you'd be offended if a bird just started swearing at you.
I mean, he doesn't know any better. I just want to know who taught him all that. Where did he come from? What was his colorful past? I wish he could tell us the stories, probably filled with a lot of profanity.
Maybe he grew up in a house with a lot of Quentin Tarantino movies where Samuel L. Jackson does speak a lot in a lot of those movies.
Never know. I mean, that would be a fun household to grow up in.
It sure would. All righty, we'll learn more about that one. We'll follow up at another date. Coming up in our Saturday showcase at 7 o'clock, how do you reinvent a retail space to attract new customers? We'll meet the strategists looking for tenants who offer a different kind of project. Plus, dominating their division through dribbling, we'll get a look at the competitive efforts of some NBA mathletes. And we'll head into break with a beautiful shot of Coit Tower on this Saturday morning. Our Saturday showcase starts in minutes.